Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Dharm Sidhu from Vancouver. I'm a naturopathic doctor, and I have my friends here today.
I'm Dr. Adrienne Wood, a naturopathic doctor in Windsor, Nova Scotia, and this is Shannon.
Hi, I'm Shannon Fear, and I'm online from Antigonish, Nova Scotia.
So we are doing a follow-up video from the previous video we did on PTSD, talking about what is PTSD and how to heal PTSD. Shannon is a former RCMP officer who has PTSD and watched our video and was telling me about some of the reactions she had to the video. And I said, stop, don't tell me, let's record it. So we can hear, kind of for a real life person who has real life PTSD, what some of these topics, what they're bringing up emotionally and what kind of blocks and what kind of feelings it evoked in Shannon. I thought it would be really interesting to have this conversation and hopefully helpful for other people that might have had similar experiences watching that video.
Yeah, that's my hope for participating, is that it helps others see that there is hope on the other end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll just kind of dive right in. So what were your initial feelings, maybe even before you even watched the video? What was coming up for you initially?
I think initially, because I have been working with you both for a bit now, on a spiritual journey as much as a healing, the PTSD journey. And my initial gut was, ugh, are they going to dismiss the PTSD? That was my fear. Am I going to be dismissed, that this isn't real, that God wouldn't do this, that it's spirit influence doing this, and that it would negate my experiences, my actual earth experiences. So that was the first thing that come up for me, was like, whoo, what's going to happen? What are they going to tell me?
So that even before you really got into the video, that was the fear that came
Yeah,
up. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then you didn't let that fear stop you.
No, I didn't let it stop me. I sat with it, and just hit play and sat back and waited to see what it would bring up for me, or what miracle there might be out there that I wasn't aware of, which there isn't a miracle, but
So as you watched the videos, were there certain points that you got triggered or emotionally, activated? Were there certain ideas or topics that we touched on that you?
the big one that triggered me, which was the one when I sent to you, was when you were talking about how we avoid the things that make us remember, or the things that make us feel what a lot of society would call bad or negative emotions. So when you were talking about, you see a lot of people, how we will create this whole personality to avoid feeling those emotions or remembering what happened. I'm going through a couple of things right now, particular things that I was right away. I was like, frig you, Adrienne. Like, I'm not avoiding everything. I'm trying. I'm doing the best I can. Like, so I felt I felt triggered into like, oh, not doing enough. Yeah.
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 And do you still have those feelings?
No, I don't. Once I finished the video, and sat and messaged you to say, hey, I just watched this video, it was more like, when I got through it, it was like, okay, she's not talking to me, because that's how it felt at first. I was like, oh, they're calling me out. Like, this is specifically me they're calling out, which is hard. It's hard to be called out on things.
Mhm.
And then once I watched it and saw and sat with, like, okay, no, they're absolutely right. We do create this whole persona, and I don't want to say excuses, but we will create beliefs in ourselves that justify why we're avoiding things. because I think a lot of us, I'll only speak for myself. For me, I didn't believe in myself for the longest time. So now that I believe in myself, I recognize that, no, I can do these hard things, and they're not being mean. They're not challenging me to tell me I'm not doing good enough. It's more of a boost of like, hey, you got this, right? Like, just remember, this is something that was created to help you feel better. And in times it did do that, but in the long run, it's not making it better. It's actually making it worse. So, hey, be aware that the things you're doing to avoid the big emotions are actually causing more damage.
So what were some of the things that were part of kind of your identity or your avoidance mechanisms that were really kind of part of who you were, at that time? Do you mind sharing one or two of those?
No, I'll try. Yeah. So I think that I was very hyper independent. I was a huge solver, people pleaser. I became a big people pleaser to make sure everybody around me felt good, because then I didn't have to deal with their negative emotions. So if they were always happy, I could be happy. And if they were upset, it really affected me. And I felt like when I didn't believe in myself, I felt like I was to blame for everyone else's pain. And I think a bit of I don't want to say a savior complex, but that avoidance in, if I fix other people, I don't have to fix myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was a big thing too. So I think that Dharm did talk about it near the end. I watched it again today. And you had asked her in the video, why are so many more first responders diagnosed with PTSD? And as Dharm was getting to it, before she got to it, I was like, oh, and I wrote down, because our facade that we created, for me anyway, I can only speak to myself. I'm also a child sexual assault survivor. So that facade that I had created to get through that pain drew me to policing to save and help other people. So now that I'm getting to know who I truly am, I couldn't fathom doing policing or being a person of authority over people, or it's not really in my soul. But I had become that person to survive the trauma of my childhood. And then that's what drew me to policing. And I think, and my humble, non-medical, non-scientific opinion, that a lot of us that are drawn to first responder or military are drawn to it because of something that happened in our childhood. Whether it's big T, little t, we've created this facade of we want to help and fix people because nobody did it for us. So that was my personal opinion on why I think there's many of us in the first responder community that are diagnosed with PTSD, outside of what we see in the job, of course. Yeah. And I also believe, actually, if I could, I think in my childhood trauma, I don't know if I'm going to use the right words, but my soul had almost gone into hiding. Yeah. So I didn't believe in myself anymore. Mm-hmm. I really, truly did not believe in myself. I loathed myself, if you will. Mm-hmm. And so I think that then makes it harder to heal. So I think that when we can get through to that, to the belief in yourself, when you can get back into that, that's when the healing can take place. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's interesting, kind of what I heard you say is like, when you stopped avoiding your past pain, then you stopped needing this identity of this rescuer, fixer, problem solver, caretaker persona that drew you into policing in the first place.
Absolutely. And as the time goes on and I can heal a little bit more, I'm also able to drop that persona in my personal life. Mm-hmm. So it's where I outside of my children, of course, I take care of me, and I'm learning how to look after my soul and myself that went through things, and actually sit in that pain that I avoided by taking care of everybody else, and recognizing that only they can take care of themselves and only I can take care of myself when it comes down to it.
Dharm, do you have questions that you want to jump in with?
Yes. So I'm currently looking at the cultural creation of the rape culture. We actually call it the rape culture in the Indian culture. It's actually a whole culture called the rape culture. And how the girl, by being a good Indian girl, is groomed into it. So I'm actually going to do a documentary. My friend's going to do a documentary of me breaking down all of this process and how it comes together. So there are a lot of pieces that you see happening throughout the abuse, childhood abuse, PTSD pattern. And the first thing you said was dismissed. That is the creation of PTSD right there. When a child's experience is dismissed, and that is a cultural creation. It forces the child to deny to herself, not just don't tell anybody else, but to deny to yourself an experience. You are going to be disconnected from your soul. There's a big lie happening. And the image I'm getting is that my soul is torqued and twisted in very unusual way in order to force to dismiss the experience. And therefore you're not going to be able to process the experience because it triggers everyone around them. And then obviously the second grooming point has to happen for children is that they are made to blame. The blame is a very big core of grooming children to then be open to predation and then to then be forced to hold on to the pain and negate it and deny it. And so if you're doing all of that, Shannon, how are you going to have a belief in yourself when you can disconnect it from yourself? So I felt even you saying, I don't believe in myself was part of the blame. Like, considering a situation, you are not going to have a sense of self. It's impossible in that situation. And so the self-blame hole then creates the constant self-blame and the constant absorption of blame. And then in that is the grooming of, if somebody is upset, I'm in danger. And I'm going to shut it down. So then the caretaker, like you were talking about, that's also part of the surviving of that environment where you're not allowed to process your own experience.
Right.
So if you're taking care of other people, you have to, you can't. So basically the denial of your reality is the cause of the PTSD. And in this talk, your fear was, will I be dismissed? I mean, that's great. And what we are doing here, Adrienne and I are saying, go back into it and really, really see the full extent. And for me, I now have to unpack through my body the thousands of years of inherited cultural story of the rape culture. Like it's in my soul now, and I have to process a whole experience or unpack the whole thing just to forgive my personal story, which is actually a textbook part of the culture. And then savior complex. So because you are not allowed to process your experience, which is the reality that the situation deliberately created a place where not only are you not protected, you're deliberately exposed to harm. And you have to see that in order to forgive it. So you're not allowed to process that you were deliberately harmed. And in order to cover that pain, you're going to become like, how do I do this for others so that they don't have to go through this? How can I rescue people from having to experience what happened to me? So the savior complex is also, again, it's a response of pain, horrible pain. So it kind of makes sense that you would have that. Because, and as you undo that, you can see that what you're exposing to yourself is how much danger you were in, how much damage that abuse did to you. Like that is a heartbreaking experience for victims as we start to face the reality is how much damage that one event did to us. And then you mentioned soul gone into hiding. I mean, we dissociate, obviously. So when you go into a trauma, your guides will take you out of your body so you can cope. And then, but then you have to deny your experience, so then you're disconnected. So there's a lot of hiding. I'm in the process of writing a song as part of this journey, and I was shocked that what came out of my mouth as I'm trying to write a song is all about hiding. I'm still hiding. Can I come out now?
Interesting.
Can I peek out now? I'm still hiding. And then the self-loathing piece, you were mentioning that piece is a very important part of belief in yourself and self-loathing. When there's abuse happening, there's going to be anger at this violation. And unless the child's already been shut down from even acknowledging the abuse. So I had to do an extra step of even acknowledging that something's wrong with this. And then the anger that should be projected at the abuser, okay, it's a lot of rage, not allowed. You're not even allowed to acknowledge something is wrong here. Turns inward into self-loathing. So in PTSD, self-loathing is a very big piece, a very big addiction, and it triggers a lot of illnesses. So you're also connected to that piece of self-loathing, and you just have to put your foot down and go, I cannot do this. It's an addiction. Self-loathing, self-judgment, self-punishment, self-hatred is another one. You have to stop it. And as you do, your health will start to reflect the changes.
Yes.
So
I absolutely feel that in my body, in my health, since having the breakthrough about almost 3 years ago with the belief in myself, that my health has increased dramatically. So I'm not reliant on as many pain medications or that kind of thing, not going to the doctor as often, not asking for my antidepressant to be increased, that sort of thing. So started out with, the recognition that, and I should have added, it was repressed memories. So when those came back, so I wasn't even aware how much I hated myself until I started this journey about 3 years ago. But and all the things that I did to damage myself. And I think that part of that was a belief that I deserved to not be a good person. I didn't deserve good things. And I could never understand why. I'd done decades of therapy and talked about but I tried to convince myself I am a good person. People tell me all the time, but really it never hit home until almost 3 years ago. And then since then, the change in my physical health and mental health has been phenomenal. And it wasn't overnight. It wasn't like, oh, wow, I'm off of this pill or I'm not doing this. It's been little steps. But when I look back and see I'm not taking, Advil and Tylenol every day or 5 to 6 days a week. I'm not on the nerve blockers. I'm getting through these things little by little. So it's been a huge change.
There is a layer that PTSD reversing steps involve. You have to go through how angry you are that you have to remember, how angry you are that you have to feel, how angry you are that this unfair event happened. And when the pain comes up, the physical pain and the emotional pain of the events come up, where you're the one who got victimized, the pain is so bad. Again, you have to go through the anger of none of this served any point. And this is a lot of pain. So you have to be comfortable with going through your anger at every layer of having to do it. It helps. It helps.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. It's not easy and it's definitely uncomfortable. Yeah. And sometimes you feel a little crazy, to be honest.
You will go. So the child in the abuse has gone insane. The child has gone insane. You will find, whenever you tap to that little child, you will find an insane child. Over and over, you're going to find that she has lost her mind, he has lost his mind, and you have to walk them through it. You have to embrace that emotion, somehow go through the insanity. It does pass by, and you become more sane after, which is your feeling of, I believe in myself more and more now.
Right.
Parts of you are coming back and integrated. But you have gone insane. In having to deny reality, you will go insane.
Yeah, it makes complete sense.
So I'm curious about, like, for other people to kind of know, what was it for you, Shannon, that changed your course? You know, you were dealing with PTSD with medications and doctors and therapy and, you know, avoidance for a long time. So what changed? What and how did that change?
I think the big change came when I was able to get sober from alcohol. I was using alcohol by the time I got sober daily to numb everything. So once I got sober from that and started learning actual skills that would help me process things and allowed my brain chemistry to catch up, because you know, Dharm talked in the video about how the amygdala is shrunk and things. And so I'd started drinking in my early teens, so I hadn't really allowed my brain to mature. So I actually still consider myself at almost 51 to be growing up. My brain is catching up with me. So I think becoming sober was the first thing. And after that, it was just little things with, you know, like I said, trying to fake it, you know, buying the little, you know, oracle cards that tell me I'm a beautiful person and driving around with that on my dash and, you know, fake it till you make it type of thing. And then, the next big step, I think, was my yoga facilitators. So going and learning about, because I had throughout my life been atheist at times and agnostic at times and never religious whatsoever. No belief in God, and eventually a little belief in like nature and a little belief in, well, there's got to be something bigger, because it can't just be about this shitty life I'm living right now, because that's really how it felt. It was like, man, is this what it's all about? Is this what I'm going to do for 80 years? And so just little by little, realizing that there was more to life than just what I was experiencing. And then going to my yoga facilitators training and being exposed to that information about the oneness of the universe. And I think also the somatic movement that came with that. I had done a little bit of yoga. I had definitely done exercise. But look, once I got there, I recognized how absolutely dissociated I was from my body. That was the huge, because I honestly didn't know. And I learned that, you know, I was that person who at a yoga class, oh, this is how Adrienne is shaped and this is what I'm supposed to be shaped like. And I would contort myself to look the same as you and have no feeling of it whatsoever in my body. You know, they would talk about, maybe you could feel this here. And I'd be like, I don't feel anything. I don't know what you're talking about. So coming back into my body for the first time was that, like, holy crap. And that's when the memories came back to me. And that's when the belief in myself started to come back. And so that was the next big step. And then shortly after that, I went to the first the weekend away with you guys. And it was my first experience in talking about God. And it was very awkward, I guess. Like, it was just very like, I don't know what am I doing? Okay, well, what do I have to lose? And so over the last 2 years since that, getting to know more and more about myself and my soul's condition, and that there is so much more in this life than just this little earth experience. So it's just been little bit by little bit. Every every new layer takes me to a next level, I guess.
So learning what you're learning now on this journey, like, do you believe that PTSD can be healed? Is that a belief that you have yet or at all?
I don't know, honestly, if it can be. Can it be for everyone? Yeah, I guess the potential is there for everyone. Yeah, I do think it can be. I think that we can process it all. I don't think it comes in a bottle. I don't think it's quick, and it is absolutely not easy. It's simple, as we say, it's very simple to feel through these emotions, but it is not easy. It's exhausting and excruciating and painful and scary, and there's a lot of fear wrapped up in there. I at times have had some of the fear I've had about releasing these emotions is that it would harm my physical body. Because I've read the books Van der Kolk and Levine, and trauma is trapped in the body, and I have a lot of tension in my body. So I was scared that if I feel this fear, something's going to spasm and I'm going to be in a wheelchair or something. I'm going to need some serious opiate. Like, I'm going to be in so much pain physically if I feel these emotions. So that was a big fear that I had to get through. But I do believe that yes, I believe I believe you can heal PTSD. Yeah, I do.
And my next question is, again, with your experience with so many different healthcare providers and mental health providers, in that Western medical system, do you feel like those providers believe that PTSD can be healed? Do you?
No. No, I don't know that anybody, and I have a great team. I'm not knocking. I have needed them. I still need them. But no, I don't think that they do believe that there is a cure for this. I think that, as you say in a lot of your stuff, there's healing and there's managing. And I think the belief is that this is something to simply be managed for the rest of your life. And I don't believe that anymore. I believe that we can actually heal it, and we can be whole again. Yeah.
What does that feel like to kind of be with doctors who don't really believe fundamentally that you can be healed?
For a while, like in the beginning, I think for me, I was still finding my voice. So I would broach it a little bit, and then I would allow them to tell me what they knew and just go, okay, well, they know better. And then as time has gone on, now I've been able to, I see the results in myself, and I know what I'm capable of. So now if they challenge what I believe will work for me, I'm at a point where I can say, well, I appreciate that, but I know me best. So I'm going to do this. And we've built a relationship of respect where my team has said, yeah, you do know yourself best. And, I might not, in my professional opinion, agree that you should come off of your medication, but I'll always be here for you. So I'm very lucky that way. So do they believe that I can heal myself, or do they believe that feeling the feelings will work? I don't think they do, but they respect me enough and they see the progress I've made to be able to respect that. Yeah.
Maybe you'll show them, maybe you'll end up changing their beliefs. Maybe this will be the start.
I definitely, with my psychiatrist, for sure, I see her wheels turning when we chat, and like the respect that she has for me now, even in the ability that I have to speak up for myself and say, well, you know what, that doesn't work for me. And, the courage, because it takes a lot of courage to do this, to leave behind who you've literally made yourself into. I've been this person for 48 years. I was that person, that saver, that people pleaser, that self-loathing alcoholic. And I am so far removed from that now that, yeah, I don't need anybody else to believe in me anymore. Like, I really don't. It feels good. I love having friends and colleagues and peers and my medical team that believe in me, but I believe so strongly in myself now that I don't need to feed off of somebody else's belief in me. Yeah.
Sense of self. That's the whole thing about PTSD and the grooming of the abuse is a sense of self. A child that's allowed to have a sense of self will, no matter what happens, she will shake off the experience. She will not hold on to it. That's like one time when I was learning about PTSD, the students were asking this mentor, the teacher, how do you protect children from predators? She said, sense of self. Let the child have a sense of self. That is a protection.
Yeah.
Stuck with me. It's been 30 years since I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's what you seem to be talking about right now is about belief in myself, about basically you're regaining self from your journey. Yeah.
And even before I had my own sense of self, I could see in colleagues that would go through difficult traumatic events and be affected by it with PTSD. And I could see colleagues that went through them and were not affected in the same way. And I recognized that it was the sense of self they brought to the table.
Yeah.
That they already knew, they believed in themselves. They were brought up in a household or had already found that sense of self where they knew that this event didn't have to identify them. So it definitely comes down to being connected to yourself, your true self.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you brought up something really good about developing skills. I've been fortunate that because of my sensitivity and dissociativeness, I can see my guides, I can feel them. They've been patiently teaching me skills step by step by step. Everything that started with me in terms of regaining my memories emotionally will start with them helping me develop skills, which can take years. And then with the skills, I will respond to the memories or the flashbacks. So I'm kind of thinking right now, Adrienne, that could be a nice tangent to go into. What are the skills that we need to develop the capacity to do the work?
Yeah.
Be a good place to get to. And then the pain is immense. It's a lot of pain. Like I'm in one right now. Your bones are on fire. Like it's really painful. And one of the skill is about embracing the pain. You want to go into the pain and embrace it. And I'll be like moaning as if I've got hot blisters on me. Like they can't even touch it. It's so painful. You're moaning and you're just trying to embrace the pain and going, this is better work. Somebody's out of their mind if they think this is the way back. Like it's very, very hard. So I want to encourage that for you, Shannon. Like embrace the pain, let the pain become even more bigger. Like we're supposed to sensitize to just how much pain it is. And then you can see that the problem was minimizing. Being forced to minimize, how the culture and the family forced us to minimize and the damage that does.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I that huge fear of physical pain has passed.
Yeah.
Now I even, as a flashback comes back, I tell myself it's going to hurt. And it always hurts right here, right in my heart. And in the throes of it, I literally verbalize it and just say, it hurts so much.
That's it.
Put
yep.
the word to it.
Yeah.
And I remind myself also that this pain is just the release of that.
Yeah.
All of that holding in versus the pain that was experienced in the trauma itself.
Yes.
I remind myself that that's gone. That pain is never going to come back.
Yeah.
That pain has been felt. And now it's just this pain, and to release that and let it go. And I remind myself that, and I pray to God in the midst of it as well. I always say, oh God, I know you're not going to make it so much that I can't take it. I know it hurts. It really, really hurts. and it's never hurt me more than that. My fear did not come true. Nothing severely physical has ever happened to me. It's always felt better afterwards.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So, I mean, without us even going into a full video, like a couple skills already that people could work on is working on becoming more sensitive to their pain and doing practices that help them stay with their body, whether it's uncomfortable or not. And also that, I don't know if you can call it a skill, but having some faith, working on building up that faith that going through something hard is going to be worth it. I think that's what I'm hearing.
Generally, our guides, the way they trained me for the faith was the training was happening with non-traumatic events. Exposure to the skill happened to the non-traumatic events. And then as the skill got developed, then it got transferred towards the event, the traumatic event. Like they were very, very good and step by step and cautious and yet very powerful in getting me to develop, inviting me to develop skills, because our guides don't force anything. And then, like even now, when a flashback comes, I go, hold on, pause, hold on. What are the steps? And I remind myself, okay, I'm going to do step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go. I always take a moment. I'm not being re-victimized by the flashback itself. This is a process and there are steps involved, and you've practiced them many, many times. Yeah. That's something very lovely to go into as we keep going.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then just like before we close, was there anything else, again, about the original video that we did? Was there anything else that kind of you were stuck on, or that, you felt like we got wrong, or we wanted, like, you kind of want to argue with us about, like, anything?
Not argue with. There was, we talked about, I had said that I was going to share the video, but I was afraid I would lose a couple people, that they wouldn't follow along. And one was Dharm, and I understand it, but I think that maybe in the future we could go into a little deeper, is the PTSD emotion being passed on to our children. If we haven't dealt with the emotion before the birth goes to them. So that's something that I think would probably throw a lot of people off.
Unfortunately, it's a reality.
In the beginning of their journey anyway.
Unfortunately. Just helping people breaking that down a bit more and helping people understand that, you're saying.
Exactly. Okay. And then the only thing that I found difficult to swallow, if you will, was, Dharm, when you were talking about the dark has already happened, you're there to see the light, and that when you're having the flashback, God was there in that moment. And your abuser's guides, and that pissed me off.
It was like, intentional. It was intentional.
Yeah, like what? Good. Well, if she was there, why the hell did she let it happen?
That is exactly the emotion we got to go through. That is the grief we're going through. And that is the reclaiming. That I said those things on purpose.
Yeah, because it's easy. Like, it's easy when I'm going through the pain now to say, okay, God is here with me. I'm being held. I'm protected. And everything. Well, where were they 48 years ago when it happened?
There you go. That's the grief of the child.
Yeah.
Those needs to happen. And that's the grief that then is part of the repair of the relationship with God. As long as that emotion is there, you can't have a relationship with God. Those things have to come out. And it's very, very fair for a child to have those meltdowns. It's so appropriate.
Of course. Yeah.
That's a very important part of it.
Somebody that could have saved, or when you think somebody could have saved me, they didn't save me.
Yeah.
And then that brings up, well, why not? Wasn't I good enough? Didn't they love me? Didn't I deserve it? And you have to get through all of that. Yeah.
So I spent probably 2 decades in some of those emotions around, God, why didn't you stop it? God, why did you allow it to happen? All of those rage got moved through. And now there's this piece in me where I go, people chose that. People chose that. The accountability is on the people that made the choice. It's not on God. So there's room for me to accept that now. And the piece I'm trying to work on now is I would like to feel that God was there. However angry it makes me, I want to know, because supposedly God doesn't rescue us in some situations, because God's feeling is, I can cope with this. And I'm pissed about that. I am pissed because I'm in the pains right now. It's terrible. And it's meaningless pain. People didn't have to cause me this pain. I didn't have to cause this pain to everybody else I've done to now, in the suppression of the trauma. So I'm working on God feels I can cope. And God's not worried about it because I can cope with the emotion, I can release them, and I'll be good as new. And I'm like, really? I would like to test out this idea, God. Let's bring it on. So I am in that journey right now.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually, because I do feel that, you know, as I've said, the pain is over, but I do feel that it happened for a reason. And it is because I was capable of doing this.
Well, the trauma didn't happen for a reason. Did not. There was no point to it. The trauma did not, and a lot of victims say that. There was no point, no wisdom, and no reason of any kind that we needed that experience, period. There was no need. And that is more confronting because we're trying to make ourselves feel better with this other statement. And I've had people say, well, look at what you become because of it. And I'm like, no, it was pointless, which is more disheartening, more heartbreaking, but it was pointless.
Okay.
But God did create us with the capacity to feel and be able to feel through extreme amounts of pain and get to the other side, whether they were just or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he lets us go through it because he knows we can.
Okay.
I don't believe that, but I'll take it for a test ride.
Yeah.
I'm like, God,
let's do it. We'll try that on.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's my current relationship with God is this way, is very in your face, kind of like, okay, God, let's do this, which is good. Working through all of these blocks have created a certain level of comfort in engaging God in the process.
And I really get the feeling that when we approach it that way, God's like, all right, let's do this. Like, you want to do this? Like, I love doing this with you. Let's, you know, like that's a feeling that I really have, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
But you be mad as long as you need to be mad. Those things we should be mad about.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing all that, Shannon.
Yeah, anytime. Like I said, my hope is that maybe somebody else out there will get a little hope out of it.
Absolutely. You've actually inspired us to go further into more videos now, into working on the next step.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm happy to hear it.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Have a good night.
Did I stop recording it? Okay. Bye, Adrienne.